The timeline of today's reporting is really interesting, not just because President Trump was asked last week if Pam Bondi notified him that he was in the files, and he denied it on July 15th, but also because the reporting today says that Bondi and Blanche gave the Wall Street Journal a statement about that meeting last Friday. That means that Bondi and Blanche understood that reporting was forthcoming from the Wall Street Journal about that May meeting when Todd Blanche took to X and said he was going to invite Ghislaine Maxwell to have a private conversation with him. If anything, this shows that they knew what was coming and were trying to deflect from it by not only filing those motions to unseal grand jury testimony, but then also devising a plan. Ooh, maybe if we meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, she'll tell us something, but something that doesn't implicate Donald Trump the way the files in our own possession could, or at least talk about him. Now, I want to be really clear, Alicia, with you and our viewers, just because somebody is mentioned in the files is not an indication of any wrongdoing by them, much less something on which you could predicate a criminal investigation. I think it's really important to say that. But of course, like in many cases, the cover-up appears to be worse than a non-existent crime, right? Donald Trump is clearly freaking out about this, and quite reasonably, that's leading people to ask, why? If what's in there about you isn't all that incriminating, why are you so eager to deflect as many ways as you can from our learning about what it says about you?
Well, Congress, I just, look, again, the man has been acting like he was told his name was in the Epstein files. By the man, I mean the president. And now we know that he has been acting like he was told his name was in the Epstein files. He tried to deflect, and it's just not working. Congressman Dent, the House Oversight Committee is a very different committee than many of the other committees in Congress. This is like Congress's watchdog, for lack of a better term. Can you just explain to folks what a subpoena from the House Oversight Committee means and can do? Because there's two subpoenas, because I was getting confused when I was reading it earlier, okay? There's two subpoenas. One for Ghislaine Maxwell. And it's my understanding that investigators from the House Oversight Committee could go and conduct that business and plan to do that in the coming weeks in Florida, in Tallahassee, where Ghislaine Maxwell is. And now this vote on the subpoena of the files from the Department of Justice.
Well, yeah, I served on that committee for a few years, and a couple of things. I've been involved with the issuance of subpoenas. But in the case of the interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, it's pretty clear that it seems that likely the professional lawyers on the committee staff would go to the prison and depose her, interview her there. It's not clear how many members would actually be there, if any. Maybe the chairman and the ranking member. And the other, I guess, is a broader subpoena requesting that these documents be released from the broader committee, separate from Ghislaine Maxwell. But that we'll see how that all plays out. But I suspect everybody will comply with these subpoenas. I mean, I would if I were the administration.
Lisa, the plot thickens. And, you know, we're reaching the dog days of summer, and you just never know. Every day there's another narrative coming out. Every day you find yourself sitting there looking at your phone like, not again, what more? And you know, it's just how this is. You know, you have this sense that, you know, the beat goes on, but the plot thickens. And that's the problem that Trump has. And I think very much to the question that's on the table, like, okay, if there's a there, why not just get it out in front? It's summer. Get it out now when people are at beaches and all this other stuff. But it's the makeup of the man himself that makes that much more difficult. So where I want to go next is, what's the end game as you see it from your reporting? Where do these pieces come together, and how do they come together for this administration? You have, for example, the Wall Street Journal reporting on what Kash Patel knows, noting the director, Kash Patel, has privately told other government officials that Trump's name appeared in the files, according to people close to the administration. So you have someone who was in the mix pushing, talking about, we're going to expose all of this. When we get in power, we're going to take it all out, right? now admitting and telling folks that the president's name is there, yet and still we have this slow roll to put this information on the street.
Trump is running away from his own shadow again. It's as if as soon as he hears his name mentioned in the secret files, he immediately starts panicking, saying, "Let's make a plan. Call Glenn Maxwell. Maybe he'll tell us a sweet story. Distract the newspaper and make them forget the real issue." Remember, this guy pulled the same when he was in the White House. Whether it was the Russia investigation or tax records in every scandal, he'd say there's nothing to it. And then the next day, he'd blow the lid off at himself with a tweet. Now that his name has come up in the Epstein files, the former president is swearing, "My name isn't there," while his lawyers rushed to issue a statement to the Wall Street Journal. Well, if you're innocent, why are you panicking? Why are you panicking, Trump? Does a person fear hearing their own name? They do because this man's only concern is sweeping his own mess under the rug. But the news is bad. The rug is now so small that nothing fits under it. And look, this has reached such a point that even the oversight committee in Congress has rolled up its sleeves, issuing subpoenas to Ghislaine Maxwell, subpoenas to the Department of Justice. In other words, the spear no longer fits in the sack. Mr. Trump, but our guys is still playing the sly fox. It's midsummer, everyone's at the beach, and he's thinking if it comes out now, no one will care. Honestly, we are talking about the same man who boasted in 2016, "I don't pay taxes because I'm smart." He has practically trademarked lies, denials, and I didn't know routine. Now that the old dirty books are being opened, it's the same old trick: intimidate, divert, cover up. But history has taught us this: the real issue is often not the crime itself, but what's done to cover it up. Watergate didn't explode because of Nixon's death, but because of his attempts to cover it up. Trump is following the same path with one difference. No Twitter, but plenty of chaos.